Hello, I'm Anita Haberman. I'm Executive Director of BC Common Ground Alliance, and I'm here on behalf of Icons Media and Magazine Group, where we are speaking with a variety of leaders in British Columbia where they are focused on creating wealth through real estate. We are focused on a variety of perspectives in that real estate ecosystem. And I'm so pleased to have with me an amazing leader here in British Columbia from Gold Key Insurance. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, Anita. My name is Sharn. I am the co-founder of Gold Key Insurance. We've been around for more than 30 years. We specialize in all types of insurance, general insurance, car, house, business liability, but we also support business owners with estate planning and yeah.
When we're talking about your perspective on today's insurance industry and today's very uncertain economic environment, what are some factors, some advice that you can give to potential real estate investors on what they should be looking at for the right insurance coverage?
So when you're looking for insurance, there are a number of things that need to be considered. First of all, whether it's comprehensive policy, which covers you to protect the building and the contents to exactly the same way they were before a claim occurred. And then there's broad coverage, which is just covering you for the basics. So those are very important. Nowadays with AI, ChatGPT is available for you to upload your policy and ask all the questions that you normally are not able to get answers to unless you're sitting with a broker one-to-one and getting the questions that you wouldn't even know you need to ask. So there is that aspect of protection. The second aspect is where you live. So if you're going to invest into real estate, you really need to consider the impact of the environment of where you live. So if you're living in Richmond, well, the insurance is going to be much more challenging over there because it is more adept to water damage. Whereas if you're living in Kelowna, there's also the fire possibilities of there being fire damage. So insurance can vary from neighbor to neighbor, and it all just depends on the type of property that you're purchasing and the number of family members in the home, or if it's rented to a commercial business, what kind of business are you renting to, and how is that exposure of that business going to impact the insurance for the building? There's liability insurance that's always something that needs to be considered, because doesn't matter what happens, if you're sued, your insurance policy is going to pick up the claim and they will fight on your behalf. So every real estate investment, you do need to look at it from more than just what kind of income am I going to get from this? You have to look at it from what kind of risk am I putting myself into? That's...
When you're talking about, for example, the Metro Vancouver housing market, and there's so many condos now that are available for sale, and in today's economy can be seen as an opportunity for investment. In the condo tower, you have your own content insurance for your own space that you live in. But what should owners look at when it comes to the strata insurance piece?
So when it comes to strata, you want to check your strata documents, the minutes, the expectations that the strata has of you as an owner. Most important is the deductible for strata unit owners. Most stratas will have implemented a certain amount for the deductible, meaning that if there's a loss up to this amount, the owner of the unit is responsible for paying any damages. So the lowest amount nowadays is maybe $25,000. So if there is a claim because of the owner of the unit's inability to prevent the claim, they would be responsible for paying up to $25,000 out of their own pocket before the strata's insurance would kick in. That impact is really big. And there are strata units that are closer to downtown which are more liable for earthquake. And their strata deductible could be anywhere from $100,000 to $500,000. So really, really need to take into consideration the strata documents and read them properly so that you know what you're liable for. But the benefit now is, not long ago, maybe 10 years ago, insurance companies have included the insurance for the strata deductible. So if you haven't purchased that extra coverage, most likely you will be required to. You can't pay for it out of your pocket. Such a big claim, right? And if you're renting out your unit, you got to make sure that the tenants have that as well, so that you're not held liable for that deductible because of a negligence on their part.
Insurance is so complex.
It is.
And the industry itself is changing here, there, and everywhere. How do you, at Gold Key Insurance, how do you make it easy for the client, especially the new person that's investing in real estate? How do you make it easy for them?
In what way easy? Easy as in let's just sign the documents and get it done, or easy as far as explaining the coverage? Both? Well, we do have DocuSign. Everything nowadays is done online. Computers are amazing for us. AI is coming into play, so it's going to impact the understanding of the policy and the application a little bit more. We still have clients that want to sit down and talk to us and have a trust with us, that they know where they're getting insurance from. A lot of people are happy doing it online. The younger generation doesn't even want to come out of their home and get insurance. But we still have business owners and property owners that are really looking for full information on their risks. And you can't really do that online. So we do have availability for all of our clients to come, sit down, have coffee with us at the office, or we can meet with them and really go over all of the risks that they could potentially have.
When you're thinking about not only your industry, but you're talking about the broader spectrum of the real estate industry, do you see real estate in today's uncertain economic environment as an aspect of wealth creation?
It's always a wealth creation. Just the way that we are growing as a community, as society. Surrey's overpassing Vancouver now, and eventually that's going to creep into Langley and creep into Chilliwack. It's going to expand. It's definitely an investment opportunity. Now, if you have money, buy a condo. Most people start at buying a condo and taking it from there and building their portfolio.
Yeah, so saving, investing, scaling.
Yeah.
What is your advice to young people? A third of Surrey's population is under the age of 19, for example, and they're so uncertain about the future, about housing investments. What's your advice to them in terms of that scenario about investment and scaling up?
So the very first thing I would do, and this is something I've done with my son, is the moment he turned 19, I told him to go to a bank and get your first-time homeowners account set up and keep investing into that, because the government does provide incentives to the young children now to help them get into the market. That's definitely something I would suggest. For them to be able to afford down payment is always challenging. If they have family members or parents that can help them get into the market, that would be the best opportunity for them. Back when I was purchasing my first home, my dad helped me with a down payment, and it was a fraction of what it is now. It was like $10,000 compared to $100,000 today. But if you have parents who can help you co-sign because they have an income to just get into the market and put that property up for rent, that's where I would suggest they start.
So, at any spectrum, whether you're young or a mature investor or even a senior, for example, how should, as portfolios grow, how should risk management evolve?
Well, if your portfolio is growing in the real estate business with regards to residential property, I would suggest moving and evolving into commercial property. So you've done the process of building your portfolio with a condo, probably a single family home. Those risks in themselves, they're there, and they're a little higher than a commercial building. And the reason why is because you'll have tenants. And if you're renting those places out, those tenants may abandon the property, leave it in bad condition, and all of that is going to be an expense out of your pocket. So evolving would require you to take away the risks that you have in the residential area and move to commercial. And commercial is a lot more secure in a sense where you are working with a business owner, you are drafting a more complex agreement with them. The liability, the insurance, and everything falls on them. You don't have to be overly concerned about the tenant leaving and not paying their rent, because most business owners want to be in a place that is long-term. In order for their business to thrive, they need to stay in one place. So evolving into that, and then potentially evolving into building. There's nothing to stop you from being part of a corporation, a construction company that is looking for investors.
My last question to you is really focused on, especially in this very uncertain economic environment. Every part of the province is so different when you're taking a look at your insurance needs. Um, what is your advice to make sure that people don't cut corners when they're looking at what they need for property insurance?
Okay, so this is where my niche is. My niche is making sure that our clients understand where their risks are. And it's not necessarily about the property, it's about the human being. Now, you are an asset. You are an asset to your family, you are an asset to your job, you are the most valuable property that you have. And if you don't protect yourself against the risks that are out there, then everything's going to fall apart. So if I'm not protecting my income, I'm not going to be able to pay my mortgage. It's going to be a trickle-down effect. If I'm not protecting myself from becoming ill, the same thing. How am I going to pay my expenses? Because those are going to continue. If I get laid off, how is my mortgage going to get paid? If I was to pass away, how is my son going to take over the mortgage? He won't be able to qualify for it. So there are different aspects where you need to protect yourself more than anything else. And most people will not look at that as a need. They simply bypass it because there are expectations of them from the mortgage brokerage or the bank that says that you have to have insurance on your house. There's expectations of ICBC when you're driving your car. You have to have insurance on your car. But there's no legality saying that you have to have life insurance, disability insurance, critical illness insurance. Yet those coverages are what drives us to be able to continue with our lifestyle. So I would highly suggest that they look at what their risks are when they themselves are taken away from the options of paying for any risks that come out.
Well, I really appreciate that perspective because I think so many people don't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
They're so involved in the present transaction,
Yeah.
not what that future transaction holds.
Yeah. There are a lot of clients that say, well, I don't need it. I don't need it. I'm going to pay my mortgage off within a certain time. That's okay. You can pay your mortgage off, but if you can't, then what happens? Not only that, there's so many other risks involved when it comes to us as assets. We are the owners of our business. We are the collateral damage of our business as well if we're no longer able to participate in it. You take the CEO away from the company is going to struggle. Right? So how do they not struggle? That's where insurance comes in as well. We find ways to protect the company from losing a member of their team and helping replace that member with insurance, which allows them to then go ahead and find the resources they need to using the income that they're getting from insurance.
Absolutely. So everyone, you've heard it right here on Icons Media and Magazine Group, how important insurance is to real estate investment and creating that sustainable wealth through real estate. Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
being here with us. Sharn from Gold Key Insurance, you are amazing.
Thank you.
And thank you for providing these very unique perspectives that even I didn't know about.
No worries. Great. It's
Thank
nice
you.
to meet you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.